This video is going to go over our kidney model right here. Again, play spins it for you. You have forward and backwards enlarge, and these are enlargements of different regions. We have the cortex and medulla enlarged there. We have the renal pelvis enlarged in here. We have the vessels enlarged here. So this is a kidney. The kidney has the adrenal gland sitting on top, and it's surrounded by an outer capsule called the renal capsule. Now it has a outer renal cortex right here, and instead of a true medulla, it has medullary pyramids, or the renal medulla, and there's renal columns right here going between them. There are blood vessels and the ureter entering and exiting through the hilum. So if we actually rotate this, we have a beautiful hilum right there. We can see the renal vein going in. We can see the ureter coming out. This is the ureter. And we can see the renal artery going in. So, the outer capsule is right there. And this is the renal cortex. The cortex has millions of these structures called nephrons that start in a glomerulus, have a proximal convoluted tubule, and the nephron then will dip into the medulla with its collecting duct and come out, and the distal convoluted tubule is also in the cortex. So the cortex has 3/4 of the nephron, I guess, 2/3 of the nephron, has the glomerulus, proximal convoluted tubule, and distal convoluted tubule. The medulla is a different tissue. It's actually a lot saltier. I should say structure, not tissue. It's a lot saltier than the cortex. It is about 400 times as salty as the cortex. And this will help it retain water. Now, there's this nice artery called the arcuate artery that runs on top of the medullary pyramids right here. And this is the renal medulla, where you have the nephron loop and you have the collecting duct. And the collecting duct actually takes what is now urine from many nephrons. So blood is going to go in, reach the cortex, get filtered by the glomerulus, go through the proximal convoluted tubule, nephron loop, distal convoluted tubule, then it is now urine, and it goes through the collecting duct. The renal papilla here is where all the collecting ducts drain into, and it's going to drain into a structure called the minor calyx. Now, we have to get blood there. So blood is going to come in through the segmental artery. There's part of one, there's I think actually the same segmental artery, and it is going to become the interlobar, L-O-B-A-R, that's an L, not an R. So we have the interlobar artery, and the interlobar artery is going up these renal columns. When it reaches the top, it becomes the arcuate artery. It's an arc. That's why it's called the arcuate artery. And then there's these branches called the interlobular, lobar, lobular. Now, blood is going to go to the glomeruluses by an afferent arteriole, and an efferent arteriole is going to come up and become either the peritubular capillaries, which or probably these up here, or the vasa recta, which is this down here. Now, this is going to be very important for water retention when you get to physiology. So these vasa recta are actually surrounding these nephron loops. Now, blood is going to go back via the interlobular vein, the arcuate vein, the interlobar vein, and here's where medical textbooks and anatomy textbooks differ. There's a vein right there. Should be the segmental vein. According to your textbook, the segmental vein doesn't exist. I learned segmental vein. I've seen it. I'm going to call it a segmental vein. So urine's going to drain into these papilla. The papilla drain into these giant funnels called minor calyxes, C-A-Y-L-X. And there's many of them. Here's a couple more minor calyxes. The minor calyxes are going to drain into these major calyxes. And I probably should have put this label a little bit further down. And the major calyx drains into the renal pelvis, which drains into the ureter. And lastly, here's the renal artery, It goes into the segmental arteries. And here's the renal vein. Oh, look, there's a vein coming out. Why can't we call that the segmental vein? So, find all of these. I actually have a little text down here for you. And spin it around. And have a good day. Thank you.